Welcome to the Law Office of Bryan Fagan podcast, where we empower Texas families through knowledge and compassion. You know, for separated or divorced parents here in Texas, that back-to-school season can be incredibly stressful. It's not just about pencils and backpacks, is it? It's about huge decisions for your child's future. So in this explainer, we're going to break down who really gets to make the call on school choices, and how you can handle it when you and your ex just don't see eye to eye.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about the common conflicts that pop up. Then we'll get into the legal stuff, what Texas law actually calls custody. After that, we'll cover the rights you have at your child's school, figure out who has the final say when you disagree, and wrap up with a practical guide for actually solving these disputes.
First up, let's talk about the reality that so many of you are living, the start of a new school year. Man, it can feel like it shines a spotlight on every single point of friction in a co-parenting relationship.
I mean, these are the questions, right? Who decides where your child even goes to school? Public versus private? And what about extracurriculars? Who picks those? And who's the point person for talking to the teacher? These aren't small things. They are the absolute core of day-to-day parenting. And that's really the heart of the problem. What should be a really exciting time for your kid can just turn into a season of conflict and anxiety. Understanding the legal rules isn't just about winning an argument. It's about finding a stable, peaceful path forward for your child.
Okay, so to figure out who decides, you first have to understand the specific legal terms that Texas uses. You might be used to hearing words like legal custody or physical custody, but you can just go ahead and throw those out the window. In Texas, it's all about conservatorship.
So what is conservatorship? Well, simply put, it's the legal bundle of rights and duties that a parent has. This is what spells out your right to make decisions about your child's education, their health care, and just their general well-being. Now, this is really important. Texas courts start with a default setting, a presumption that something called a joint managing conservatorship, or JMC, is what's best for the child. This means the court wants both parents to be actively involved in making these big decisions together. It's not always about a 50-50 time split, but it is about shared responsibility for the choices that matter.
But it's not always a joint decision. In some specific situations, a court might name one parent as the sole managing conservator. Now, this is way less common, and it typically only happens if there's a history of things like family violence, abuse, or just such intense conflict that making decisions together would actually harm the child.
So if one parent is the sole managing conservator, what about the other parent? Well, they're usually named the possessory conservator. This parent absolutely still has rights to see the child, but when it comes to decisions, their key right is to be kept in the loop, to be informed about school and health, but they don't get to make the final call.
This chart really lays it out clearly. See, under JMC, both parents usually share the power to make school decisions, which means you have to agree. But under SMC, that power rests with just one parent. Same thing for major healthcare choices. Now, one thing to notice is that even in a joint setup, one parent is often given the exclusive right to decide where the child lives, which, as you can imagine, has a huge impact on school choice.
Okay, here's something really important. No matter what your conservatorship title is, Texas law gives you a baseline set of rights to stay involved at school. Let's dig into what those are.
So unless a judge has specifically taken these rights away, and that is very rare, you have the right to see report cards and attendance records. You have the right to email or talk to your child's teacher. You can absolutely go to parent-teacher conferences and school events. And you have a right to be on that emergency contact list. These are fundamental parental rights.
And let me just hammer this point home. It does not matter if you are the parent the child doesn't live with most of the time. These rights are specifically designed to make sure both parents can stay active and informed in their child's education.
And this brings us to the main event, the million-dollar question, right? Even if you're joint managing conservators, what happens when you're both involved caring parents, but you just cannot agree on something as big as a school?
This is where you have to look really closely at your court order. It's going to break down your rights into different categories. Some decisions will be shared, meaning you must agree. For other issues, the court might give one parent the exclusive right to decide. Think of it as a tiebreaker. Like we mentioned, it's very common for one parent to have that exclusive right to pick the child's main residence, and that pretty much decides the school district.
Look, if you take one thing away from this whole explainer, let it be this. Your signed court order is the rule book. It's the law for your family. What you feel is fair, or what you might have agreed to verbally, none of that matters more than what's in that document. If you're in doubt, pull out your decree and read the section on parental rights. It will tell you exactly who has the power to decide.
So what do you do when you're stuck in a stalemate? The court order says you have to decide together, but you just can't. Well, I can tell you that running back to the judge should be your absolute last resort, not your first move.
Think of this as a step-by-step process. First, you've got to try to communicate directly. If that goes nowhere, your order probably requires you to try mediation, where a neutral person helps you find some common ground. If the conflict just keeps going, a parenting facilitator might be an option. Only when all of that has failed should you even think about filing something with the court to have a judge make the call.
And there are some simple, practical things you can do to try and get ahead of these fights. Use a shared digital calendar for everything. Conferences, games, holidays. It prevents so many problems. Use a co-parenting app to keep your communication focused and documented. Being transparent and sharing information quickly, it builds trust and just lowers the temperature.
Okay, but what if the other parent just goes rogue? What if they ignore the order and just enroll the child in a new school without your agreement? That's a direct violation. The other parent can and should file a motion for enforcement with the court. That asks the judge to step in and uphold the original order. And trust me, there can be serious consequences for the parent who broke the rules.
At the end of the day, everything we've talked about, every negotiation with your co-parent, every argument in front of a judge, it all has to be filtered through this one single legal standard: what is in the best interest of the child. It's not about what's easy for the parents. It's about what gives the child stability, safety, and the best chance to succeed.
And that's really the question I want to leave you with. When you can take a step back from the personal conflict, from the anger and frustration, and truly focus on your child's needs, their stability, their happiness, their education, the right path forward often becomes a whole lot clearer. Thanks for tuning in.